Hello, I've got here with me Dr. MikeMew, an orthodontist who specializes in oral, facial restructuring of the maxilla bone and something called mewing.
Thank you very much for the introduction. So I'm an orthodontist. I practice a form, well, I don't know if it's a form, I think it's slightly separate from orthodontics called orthotropics. And orthotropics is based on the fact that the way our face grows and the alignment of our teeth within our facial structure is influenced by how we live as well as our genes. So if you think about orthodontics, the premise of orthodontics is we're going to make your teeth straight for you. What orthotropics is about what you can do to make your own teeth straight. And of course, improve or change your facial structure. Now, I was not expecting the attention that I gained from mewing. I wanted people to understand why teeth were crooked, why faces grew in the way they do grow, and what factors control this. And when I put the information out in the way I put the information out, people I would get people in the range of sort of 15 to 30 years old worked out, well, hang around, what he's saying makes sense.
Right.
That means that I can influence the way my face is. He's already given quite a lot of information on how you do that. And people just started to experiment on themselves, seeing if they could get, most of the people were doing it for facial improvement. Clearly, right. I'm clearly proposing the health benefits, but people were doing it for facial improvement. And wow, it just kicked off with the whole world started mewing. And I ended up it swamped, I mean, properly swamped by people wanting to know how to make themselves better.
So if a parent were to bring a child into your office, and this child is, let's say, around the ages of I guess 6 between 10, and you can already see the damage done from their posture, mouth breathing, the crooked teeth, would you suggest just mewing, or would you suggest some sort of palate expander?
No, so I mean palate expander. Okay, so in my office,
right,
I provide people with appliances mixed with exercises. Okay, so we do exercises and appliances because I want to get the best results, and people can change without appliances. One thing I say to all of the patients that come to see me, I say that I'm no more than a glorified personal trainer.
Mm-hmm.
I've got some good bits of kit, but I'm just helping you to change yourself. If I could plug into your cerebellum, so if I could plug in to where and hardwire in, like the film The Matrix, something like this, then that is all I would need to do,
right,
to gain change. And that was the powerful message I put across. Now, in my clinic, I use appliances, and I'm getting, I've dedicated 10 years of my life to really, really, really working to work out which bits of these appliances work best. But clearly, and I've got better, but the message that's coming home to me all of the time is the older the people get,
mm-hmm.
the more what they do counts, the less what I do counts.
Really?
So, yeah, so, I'm getting some really nice results in the 25 plus, so 25 to early 30s. I mean, I'm not taking people on in their early 30s, but I had a number of patients who were with me already, and now we've continued, and they've got older, as they would do.
Right.
And as they've got older, it's interesting, with given them the updated version of these appliances, and it's interesting to see how many of them, what percentage of them seem to be gaining nice upswings in facial form. And, you know, it's a fascinating thing to do. I find that it's, you know, there's an old phrase, give me a child till they are 7 and I will give you a man.
Right.
Now,
Yes.
yeah, it's an old phrase. And in a way, after 7 years old, it's really hard to change baseline things like swallowing, standing up straight, and all of these things. It's possible. I mean, you know, it's possible to do anything. And of course, if at any age you had a stroke,
right,
one side of your face would fall down. I mean, this could happen at 80 years old. So you know at 80 you can change. And that's just the facial musculature. You try cutting the what's called the trigeminal nerve, the nerve that controls this big muscle, or the big muscle, the fan muscle, the temporalis here. You cut those nerves and your face will drop like a stone every time, repeatedly, predictably, and rapidly. So we know that you can change, that it's your muscles that are controlling this balance. The hardest thing to change is this bit.
Right.
You know, we're creatures of habit and we don't like to change. And of course, what can often happen here is that your habits and your posture, the way you sit, so the way you're sitting now, you think you've got your tongue in a certain place within your mouth. Mm-hmm. That tongue dictates where the bone and the teeth sit around it. But this is your habit. This is how you like to sit.
Right.
And if I asked you to change, you know, if I hardwired you and said, upload new posture, and you went from being like this to being like this, instantly, your tongue now is going to get a bit squashed at the back. Now that's not going to be comfortable.
Exactly.
Because it's sticking into your airway.
Right.
So in a way, what's preventing us from change is the fact that we've already got a structure that's been with, you know, that structure has been informed by our posture and function, and that then is informing our posture and function. And being comfortable means we don't want to change, because people don't want to go out of their comfort zone.
Right. But this started more towards would you say the 60s onwards, when does our diet also play a role?
Okay, so I couldn't tell you if our ancestors had sleep apnea.
Right.
I couldn't tell you if they got jaw joint problems, or whether they had deviated nasal septums or sinusitis. All these things that we're pretty sure they didn't have. But I can tell you where their teeth were, or where their teeth still are in the skulls we've got, you know, going to the museums. And what seems to be that about 10,000 years ago, everyone had perfectly straight teeth, always. Always,
right.
always. Never didn't have perfectly straight.
They had room for all 4 wisdom teeth.
And they had, you know, at the same now, if you go and meet someone who walks out the Serengeti, the Australian outback, mm-hmm. the Brazilian rainforest, you see these guys stand perfectly up straight. Yeah, beautiful physical form.
Yes.
Beautiful facial form. All 32 teeth, including wisdom teeth. Perfectly straight. Never seen a dentist, never had orthodontics, never wear a retainer. And these guys are like that all the way through their life. Mm-hmm. They don't deteriorate. They don't need a retainer to stay that straight. And I mean, they have beautiful bone structure. And you know, you watch some David Attenborough or some naturalist program where they're looking into these groups. And there's a huge tendency for people, more indigenous people, to have better facial form, big, broad, wide smiles, very similar to our ancestors did. Mm-hmm. You know, and we seem to have changed. I mean, you know, we've gone from this incredibly tough, rough, hard diet with very few calories.
Right.
Just as we need less calories anyway.
Right.
We've also gone from breathing through our noses, very happy, good posture, to getting blocked noses, and you've got to breathe through your mouth. You've got to become a mouth breather if you get a blocked nose. Now, if that becomes a habit and you've got weak muscles, your face is dropping down, a little bit like a bilateral stroke.
You get
yeah, you get a line round here. Well, it's like a mask, you know.
Right.
The whole thing's going down. A little bit like a waxwork model. You've got a bit too close to the fire, and it just goes.
Wow. And
what I'm saying, this is the crazy thing here.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is that everyone, and I mean everyone that you're going to meet in a modern society has been affected. More or less. Some faces are better, some faces are less good, but we've all been affected. And those faces on the magazine covers, on the,
the supermodels,
beautiful faces you see of models, they're not lucky genetically. They're lucky because they just chose the right posture, the right toughness of food. They stood up straight.
And most of them, surprisingly, grew up on farms.
Yeah, oh yeah, all the time.
They're all from the rural areas. None of them really were born and raised in the cities. If you read...
so frequently, I'm just seeing these people who had fantastic facial form, you know, like Brad Pitt, growing up in the middle of nowhere, because you don't get so many blocked noses. You know, you're eating tougher food.
You're drinking raw milk.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, I guess it's become as a real stark realization to people that, you know, their face is not completely genetic. You know, and clearly we're going to look like our parents. But if you've got the same genes and you live in the same environment, you're going to have the same outcome. And that does not mean that how your face has been purely a genetic input. Right. Yes, it's going to be a genetic input. That's the substance you had before. But that substance has been molded by the environment.
Right.
And that means you can do something about it. This is the thing about mewing. And, you know, yes, I've seen some images of people who have changed their faces beyond belief.
Oh, me too.
Mewing.
And then they put hashtag mewing transformation, and you're just blown away. Yeah.
You're just blown away by these faces.
Yes.
And, you know, yes, I'm amazed. It literally amazes me. And of course, these guys have done it for no cost at all.
Right.
It cost them nothing. But what I'm more encouraged by is the mails I get almost every day from people saying, thank you. Thank you, because I had sleep apnea and I've corrected it. Thank you, because I had jaw joint problems and I've corrected it. Thank you, because I was bruxing or I had a forward head posture. Or even some people just write to me and say, look, you know, thank you for explaining to me what the hell's going on.
Yes.
Because you go to an orthodontist and they will just go, yeah, we can make your teeth straight. Your teeth are crooked, we can make them straight. We might take teeth out, we might not, we might do surgery, we might not. Afterwards, you need to wear a retainer for the rest of your life.
And putting braces on, correct me if I'm wrong, further pushes the bones back and downward, creating a longer face, right?
Well, I mean, this is a very controversial subject, as you could imagine.
Right.
Because we talk about you gaining an upswing. So this whole concept's called craniofacial dystrophy.
Right.
The idea that the craniofacial complex is not growing correctly. So craniofacial, that's the complex. Dystrophy means or incorrect. Trophy, growth. So it's incorrect growth of the craniofacial complex. Very simple. It's the big thing that affects you and your listeners that you have now, but they've probably never heard of. I mean, this is a major issue in modern society, but in a way, because it's our faces, we don't want to face up to this. It's just too much. It's too personal.
Mhm.
And the tough thing is that when I treat people, when they mew well, when we can combine this with the treatment, when they get an upswing in facial form, they look better. They're more attractive. Now, this is the big problem with what I do, because how can I, everyone's saying, oh, you're just making people look pretty. It's just cosmetic. Well, sorry, this is the problem. Everyone likes their face to be the way it is. If you have your ID or you have your passport, what element of that is what everyone looks at? The photo.
Yeah.
Your photo. They don't look at your eye color. They don't look at your height. They don't read all those other biomarkers. They look at your face.
Right.
That is that image that looks back at you from every mirror that you look into.
Right.
And I'm saying it ain't grown right. And so if I'm saying it ain't grown right, that means your face doesn't look as good and it's your fault. Not the nicest message for some people. And then I'm saying that when we make it look better or more attractive,
or to its true potential that it was supposed
to get it back to its full genetic potential. Exactly. That's where we're going. If we're trying to do that, what am I doing? Am I making people healthier or am I making them more attractive?
Both.
It's both, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you think about it. What does the word attractive mean?
Vibrancy, attractive means it's an energy. When you walk in a room.
Yeah. Vibrancy, energy. So let's break this down a little bit here. So you're looking more attractive. You're more desirable.
Right.
What's more desirable?
It's
your DNA.
Your DNA, yes.
That's what's more desirable, isn't it? Yeah, I want some of their DNA, thanks. I want to share DNA. That's what you're thinking. Now, that's, in many ways, I say your face is a CV of your health.
Yes.
So what we're doing here is we're displaying with our face that we grew well and we've got genes that you want to share. Although clearly there's a big environmental component, but in a way it's more than that. So you're not just showing your genes, you're showing your way of life, how you've been, plus your genes has brought you a facial form that is worthy of having your babies, basically. Being desirable, in desire. And, it's a new paradigm to much of medicine, because medicine you've got bulk medicine, particularly in countries like mine, where we have socialized healthcare. So the national health looks after you, but it's not going to let you do anything cosmetic. You want something cosmetic, unless it's affecting your psyche, you have to go and pay privately.
Right.
They're not going to help you with this. And of course, here we are, I'm doing something that is just highly cosmetic, and yet it's highly beneficial for your health. And this is, well, it's partly it's gained me this attention, partly it's a big distraction from what I do.
Well, since we're on the topic, there's recently in the past 2 years, and there's been a new trend where they're putting injections now in the jaw and in the chin. They're injecting it with filler to create the illusion of bone structure. Which these injections, please, they drain into your lymph nodes. They put injections here in the cheeks, and the problem is it looks very artificial and almost if the canvas is crooked and you try to fill up the canvas, it just looks like a box that has been punched, but you try to take it out, but all the creases are still there.
Okay, I've seen some nice results. I don't know if these were a few nice results selected from thousands of attempts. I have no idea. In a way, the fact that this treatment even exists is a testimony to what I said in the first place, that most people are affected by craniofacial dystrophy, so they don't have enough of these points in the first place. So it's a testament to this is happening. You know, please, just people watching this, if no more work out something's going on. It wasn't like this only 20, 30, 40 years ago. It's getting worse and worse and worse all the time. You know, this whole modern era of adults having orthodontics. Well, that never existed 20 years ago, hardly. And most of this is relapse from previous orthodontics. All these fillers in the faces. Did we have them before? Is it a new requirement? Well, what it seems to me is that the faces are dropping down worse and worse and worse. Each year we get worse. And yeah, as I said, this is the biggest problem you've probably never heard about, but it affects everyone.
Right. You look at the old starlets from the 1950s and 40s, and they all have broad, eyes. Another trend is these girls, when you have a upswing maxilla up and forward, I noticed that my eyes became more almond shaped. And that's another
I constant notice this. You know, when I post-treatment, I'll be looking at photographs and just these faces have something. Mm-hmm. They just look, you know, yeah, they just have something. I mean, what we're doing here with treatment is something very special. You know, who in their right mind, if they knew about what we're doing now, wouldn't ask us to treat their kids? And with these mewers, you know, I mean, I have people writing me, oh, you know, I've been mewing. The classic thing is I do a consultation with someone. They come to me and say, oh, I would like your treatment. I've been mewing and it's not working. And I go, oh, really? I said, have you changed your oral posture? You know, have you learned to stand up straight, tongue on the roof of the mouth, lips sealed, breathing through your nose? Have you learned to do it? And they go, yeah, I've got that ages ago. And I then to them goes, oh, your lips are apart. 2 minutes later, oh, your lips are apart. 2 minutes later, your lips are apart and your head's forwards. I mean, you haven't changed at all.
Right.
This is common fun. Constantly, people are absolutely deluded with how much they've changed. And I've said, very simple, get a phone, put it down on the bottom by their computer and record themselves while they're doing a task. Look back and see how much of the time you've got good posture. And most of them are absolutely deluded about what they've achieved. However, I've seen people who've changed, as you have. And what else are you doing with your oral posture? You know, you might as well try to stand up straight. You know, it's hardly going to hurt you doing these basic things. I mean, the caveat is with people who have got too little tongue space, I don't know if they're going to run into problems. We don't have enough evidence or experience. If you really had, you've lost 4 wisdom teeth, you've lost 4 premolars of the orthodontist bicuspids in America. You're very low of space. And if you try ramming the tongue into that space, you know, maybe you could cause problems. But for the rest of us, stand up straight, shut your mouth. This is hardly a new idea. And what your grandmother was saying to your father or mother for years.
And so when kids, so it's not just about getting the teeth straight, it's about widening the palate. But so if you do those 2 things and you go back to your old ways, within a year or 2, your face will collapse again, correct?
Well, what I try and do, if I was to if I had someone under treatment, I'd always make sure we have periods of the treatment when they don't have any appliances in their mouth. So we're going to see how they relapse naturally and then catch them again and see what we can do. Remember, you mentioned widening the palate. I'm widening the upper and lower jaws, the dental arches, and I widen them. I try to widen them always so that they will end up exactly the same. Mm-hmm. And this is the big problem with orthodontics that I don't like with conventional orthodontics, is when you have braces on, when you bite together, it feels uncomfortable. Mm. Well, I've just said that one of the most important things in determining how your faces are these muscles. If you switch that muscle off, your face will drop like a stone. Now, you go and put braces on someone, and it's not comfortable to bite together. That doesn't sound good for facial form.
No.
And that's the worry, and that's the real kicker in all of this. And that's why I'm just, you know, what do I say? I mean, you know, sometimes can orthodontics cause a downswing in facial form? Can braces cause a downswing? Can braces be retractive? Well, I recommend people go and look to see whether braces could be retractive. Go and make their own decision on that.
And how about tongue tie?
Tongue ties is a fascinating subject. I mean, the interesting thing is my father remembers back 40, 50 years ago when people were suddenly tongue tie became the in thing and they were cutting all tongue ties and it was this big issue, and we seem to be there again. Now, why did we stop this last time? And why, I mean, for starters, why do tongue ties exist in the first place? Because we've got no idea our ancestors had tongue ties. And this is a big issue, a big problem. We don't know if other wild mammals have them. Apparently some animals, other mammals do have tongue ties. And the other question is, do tongue ties, are they related to incorrect function? And if they're related to incorrect function, like not getting your tongue on the roof of the mouth enough, and if they're related to that, then do you need to correct function to correct the tongue tie? And then will correcting function without doing a tongue tie revision change the tongue tie? These are all just questions we've not answered enough. I've seen some kids who've had their tongue ties revised, so surgery, and they look just as bad as when they started. And that's, I've seen too frequently. And yet I see many adults come to me and they say, wow, that was one of the most amazing experiences I have ever had. And now my whole body's standing up straight. So I just see so much disinformation about it, left to right to, I mean, I'm not going to give you advice on tongue ties. I'm still a little bit undecided. I think if your child is newborn and, you know, within the first few weeks of life, I believe there's a massively reduced chance of scarring, then yeah, do it straight off. Don't think about it. Within the first 2-3 weeks of life, golden opportunity, no question about revising tongue ties then. If you're later in life, think twice. And the next rule is, if you are an adult and you think you've got enough tongue space and you really understand the core elements of improvement, then yeah, do it. Really, you're going to push yourself forward, then yes, do it. People in the middle, there's lots of other experts apart from me. You know, I'm not the great expert on this.
Right. I had a few. What kind of appliances do you do at your practice, and who would they benefit the most? Obviously, the younger you are, the more.
Okay. All right. So first of all, anyone watching this, please do not try to contact my clinic. Sorry, we get 100 inquiries a day by emails, telephones, all kinds of things. I mean, we can't cope. You are holding back my mission. You know, 1 or 2 hours of my reception staff every day is dedicated just to try to find our patient's mail amongst all of these other mails coming in. I just, you know, people just think that they can send me these long mails of all of their problems and all of their photographs. Listen, I don't have time.
Right.
No time for this at all. And we were getting at least one mail a month, if not one mail a week, of people saying they were going to commit suicide unless I treated them. And it was just like, whoa.
Wow.
I don't want to read those sort of things.
Less oxygen in the brain can do that too, because.
Oh, some people have been very badly messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Not fun. And I really feel for them. But I have, for me to keep my mental sanity, I can't be reading all these mails. You know, it's you know, I still, when I came down to this clinic to sort of work with my father and totally take over, I didn't, you know, I literally thought that I would never make money. I'd be, you know, I just had this burning desire to do it for the benefit of society, you know, to prove my father right, to, you know, and then all of a sudden, I've started getting much better results. I've become an internet sensation. I guess, you know, my advice, life planning is go follow your heart, really follow your heart. Just don't follow money, because it's not going to get you those end goals you want. You know, follow your heart. Maybe the money will arrive. When I treat people here, we have a mixture of different appliances. We tend to do a lot of whitening. Remember, upper and lower arch, not just the palate, the whole thing, because your teeth have got to end up biting together. One of my criticisms or concerns with this MSE, which is a lot of people are putting screws into their top jaws.
Yes,
and
I heard of that.
Ripping them apart. You know, in theory, that could work. I mean, it really could help move the maxilla forwards. But all of it between when you start widening the top jaw and you've got the bottom jaw wide enough for the teeth to match, you've got no bite. You can't use these muscles. If you can't use these muscles, during that phase, your phrase could easily be dropping.
Oh, wow. I personally know somebody this happened to.
Yeah, so you've just got to be careful. You've got to know your end goals. You've got to get in with this, out with this. There's got to be a short transition phase. And you've got to get through that point where you can't bite together comfortably, back into a comfortable bite as soon as possible. And then, of course, my top tip is avoid fixed braces at all costs. And particularly avoid fixed braces on the top and the bottom at the same time, particularly on the back teeth at the same time. Because that's what I think is most likely to cause problems.
So when whitening, the teeth sometimes space out because now you have space. After that treatment, one would want to then proceed with, I guess, braces, correct? Or
you mean fixed braces?
Whichever one you would suggest.
Well, yeah, I'm highly just suspicious of fixed braces. I mean, you know, what I will do in my treatments is I will move the teeth into, you know, approximately the correct positions, but I will rely on the individual to gain perfect alignment. So I'm not going to get that perfect alignment. The individual, and that's stable, that lasts, that stays. Whereas if you get a fixed brace in you that's going to make your teeth straight, it's great. Someone's made your teeth straight. It's like if someone did your homework for you. They'd need to do your homework today, tomorrow, the next day, probably come to university with you, probably get your first job with you, because now they're doing your work for you. Right. In the same way that if you have fixed braces, or braces as many people call them now, to align your teeth, well, then you need a retainer afterwards. And you know, most retainers look surprisingly like orthodontic appliances.
Correct.
So you could really argue that retainers are orthodontics forever.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people that follow me are kids whose parents signed them up to retainers for life without really thinking what was going on.
Oh my goodness.
You know, they went down to orthodontics. A lot of these kids didn't want to have orthodontics. They didn't want to have teeth taken out. They certainly didn't want retainers for the rest of their lives.
So if somebody's had all 4 teeth taken out, will they see their face basically melt over the years?
No, it depends what you do. Because this is the big thing. It depends what you do as an individual.
Right.
You know, it's like saying if you didn't go to private school, you won't do well in life. Or if you went, you know, if you were in a state school and you had lots of detentions, you're going to go to prison. You can't make these radical decisions.
Right.
You know, there may be tendencies. There may be a tendency that if you went to private school, you might do better in life. And if you went to a state school and you had lots of detentions, then there's a possibility that you are more likely to go to prison. That's an odd analogy I used, but you know, some of the, so like Catherine Zeta-Jones had 4 premolars extracted. She had a beautiful face, you know, but she kept her tongue, I would imagine, on the roof of the mouth all the way through that orthodontics. And so as they closed the spaces, the back teeth went forwards. And it's concerned someone who leaves their tongue like this, as they close the spaces, the front segment goes back with your face with it. It depends so much on what you do that it's very difficult to make big generalizations. Or you can make big generalizations, but you can't make more specific sort of that's going to happen. And lots of orthodontics, you don't take teeth out, and that can be retractive. You know, often it's just that you put an appliance in your mouth, you don't like to bite together, you decide that you're going to change and hang your mouth open, and you downswing.
So the message is your posture, your posture, your posture.
What you do counts.
Right.
And it's posture, yeah. Posture, posture, posture. You know, but it's hard to change posture.
It takes awareness, constant awareness for at least 2 to 4 months, and then it becomes a habit.
Yeah, I mean, what you need to do is you make incremental gains. So again, people watching this, you know, I cannot advise you to go on this chewing marathon because lots of you will end up with jaw joint problems. And that's, I should do a video on that. It's a little bit complex. But, you know, that's a way. A lot of chewing would be a way to get a stronger jaw. You know, I've got big muscles. I've got a strong jaw. They're related. How do you get big muscles? Chew. So, where were we? We were, sorry, I'm losing the thread of the conversation now.
We were talking about posture plays the biggest role in all of this.
Yes. Yeah, you, it's hard to change posture. Yeah. I was saying the incremental gains you can make. So more chewing will certainly help build jaws upswing and facial form. I would recommend that if you're suspicious or you've no idea whether you could have jaw joint problems or subacute problems, you do what we call tongue chewing, where you get a bit of several sticks of relatively soft chewing gum, the normal high street gum, and you get your tongue and you push it up on the roof. You work it left, right, left, forward, backwards, left, right, forward, back. You do a deadlift, basically, a tongue lift. It's like doing your deadlifts on a bench, except now you're pushing your tongue up. You try and get this chewing gum as far back as you possibly can. And as you push your tongue up, you squidge it all the way around. You then collect it back up again, roll it in a ball, and do the same thing. You're very unlikely to get jaw joint problems from doing that.
And I will be linking that video. You have a YouTube on that, and you have a YouTube video on proper way to swallow your water and chew your food and swallow your food.
Yeah, you know,
another.
It's very relatively simple. Although clearly, I've not tried to give people a definitive guide of what to do because A, we're going to do that at some point, but B, I've really let mewing evolve organically. You know, I've made a big point of standing back, not trying to get too involved, not trying to tell people what to or not. Well, I mean, I've helped with questions because I got too many. Initially, I could respond to all the mails I was receiving. Then, and when that point, I could see the same mails were coming in, so I made some videos on it. And the whole thing then just
right.
But if you work on the mewing, work on getting a suction hold, follow some of those videos. But the one thing that I'm looking at a bit more at the moment is getting good body posture, because this goes together.
Right.
And you really need to work on getting good body posture.
The other element that is hard today is these kids have, all of us, the cell phone, and our head weighs about 10 pounds. So we don't know
There's more to this. Okay, so most people, if you try and upright your head so it's properly on top of your neck, you've got no tongue space because your face is down swung. So one of the causes of a forward head posture is craniofacial dystrophy. The fact your head has melted down. You know, when you do CPR, the first thing, you know, CPR, they go airway, breathing, circulation. Number one, airway. The first thing they do is tip your head back. Now, everyone, that looks silly, so everyone's walking along like that. It's the same relationship here. It's opening your airway. But now you've got a forward head posture. Look familiar?
Mm-hmm. And
opens your airway. Very simple.
These curl as the head goes down. This is curled out and inward, and you see a lot of this too.
Well, yeah, because if you think, if you've got your trapezius muscle, the muscle on your back is a flat plane. If you're the nucli, the lump here, that's where the trapezius attaches. If that goes forwards, you've got to move your shoulders forwards for that muscle to work on a flat plane still. So as your head comes forwards, everything else goes. And of course, if you try and upright it, it's uncomfortable. So you're not going to do it. And that's where that's those people who are in that hole who need to have some assistance. They're going to need some help in gaining some width, some more tongue space. But remember, right now, most people's teeth sit in a balance zone. So the teeth, the bone, and the gums are sitting in a balance zone. If you widen those teeth, the bone and the gums will go with it in the short term. But unless you change, you are now holding your teeth out of a balance zone. And in the long term, that is not going to be good for teeth.
Right.
So you need to change. If you're going to get into this, you have to change.
If somebody has severe crooked teeth, as I do, because mine were straight, but I didn't have room for my wisdom teeth at the bottom, and
I'm not 100% about that. I mean, that's a lovely idea, but I don't think teeth coming into the back are really going to affect teeth at the front.
So it was my own oral posture and swallowing.
Well, it's coincidentally coming in at roughly the same time. A lot of people get problems even if they don't have wisdom teeth. I don't know. You know, this is one of those things that, you know, who knows?
Yeah, I just noticed that I had photos when I was 18 and my bottom teeth were straight. And over the years, these teeth kind of went crooked. But I have noticed since mewing, and it's been 5 years, and the biggest transformation I've seen is my under eyes.
Yeah.
I have less dark circles. And I know that I'm breathing through my nose. A simple test, everybody, is to put a piece of tape on your mouth when you sleep. And if you wake up and the piece of tape is still on your mouth, you have been nose breathing the whole night. Good for you. If you wake up and the piece of tape is not there, you have to start practicing building these muscles, and you practicing. What would you suggest if they wake up and the tape isn't there?
Look up taping. You know, I'm a little bit concerned about recommending people, you know, don't go and get some duct tape and go around your head 3 times like this and that's great, I'm going to sleep now, get a blocked nose. I mean, whoa, be easy. Go and research lip taping. There's a lot of information out there. But essentially, you can start by completely closing your mouth. I mean, that's not my recommendation. You've got to do that on your own, you know, get some advice. But some people would consider recommending that you completely tape your mouth open so you can't breathe at all, and properly, you know, big X across like that, more tape here. And the idea would be you would gently reduce and reduce and reduce till you've got a little bit of tape. You know, as that happens, I've got a bit of tape here. And you could end up just having a little bit of tape running sort of like that, so that it reminds you. you know, your whole face is a huge level of innovation. So you've got a lot of sensation on your face. If you've prepped your subconscious, you've really prepped it with a lot of, you know, simple prepping procedures, what you can do is you can remind yourself that as soon as that tape starts to stretch, lips together.
Right.
Now you're going from someone doing your homework for you to someone reminding you to do your homework. That's a step in the right direction.
Right. Right.
One step at a time.
Right. And your own transformation, I've watched your videos over the year, and you have a broader.
Really?
I think this area is
don't judge anything from me. I mean, I work so just intensely hard under just crazy pressure. I mean, it's just, whoa. I mean, trying to making a science with half the world trying to obliterate you. And I mean, just, you know, zero finances, just literally trying to pay the rent at the end of the month and move this whole project forwards. Whoa, I just don't have time to really, you know, once or twice a day, I'll think, oh, where's my tongue? But man, I should, you know, and also I'm over 50.
Right.
You know.
The wider your face is, the less, another observation is you don't have as many wrinkle creases because you have this beautiful wide structure. Well, you're doing that right now, but when you don't, it's smoother, but you age faster when you have things that are collapsing. And
no, it's a natural facelift, isn't it?
Yeah, it
is.
Know,
if you want to get your facelift, but you know what my mission now is, you know, I want to get the maximum change in the minimum space of time. And, you know, realistically, I mean, we're not going to make significant headway until we can get the spotlight of modern medical research to focus on this area. It's not going to happen.
Right.
You know, I'd love anyone listening to this, go and support the campaign, Prevent Crooked Teeth, because we should be able to prevent it. So my mission is to understand how we can bring simple public health measures to helping people. And the key area, sorry for all people watching that, the key people to help are the youngest, because they're going to be the easiest to help.
Right.
You know, a lesson learned then can be a lesson learned for the rest of your life.
Right.
And those are the key people, in my viewpoint, that we should be helping. And they're the easiest to help. And they're the ones that hopefully, you know, putting braces on your teeth is treating a symptom of the problem, not the underlying problem. And I don't think that's very helpful. We should be trying to prevent all of the problems associated with craniofacial dystrophy. So potentially sleep apnea, many ENT or otolaryngology, I think you call it in the States. Forward head posture, jaw joint problems, you know, a whole host of range of issues. You know, a structure that's not the right shape doesn't work well.
I think this is all great, but also nutrition and minerals and.
Now, yes, I'm sure they help.
Yeah.
Not my department.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, go and find someone who has knowledge and information on that. Yes, I should bring someone like that in to help give advice in my clinic. I will get there. You know, I can see so many techniques out there that should be able to help us do what we need to do. And what my mission is, trying to take this message, so I'm starting with lots of groups. You know, I've got my 20s to 30s, a few slightly over 30s. I've got this teenage group. I've got this 4 to 10-year-old group. And, you know, this group of people through. And I'm trying as hard as I can to make each sector easier, more effective, quicker. You know, all of, you know, I'm trying, and we have done really well. This 10 years, this clinic really has pulled ahead. You know, it's, you know, I've been holding back my results because, you know, best to be underjudged and then exceed.
Right.
Than shout all your, just don't shout. Don't give it big if you can't give it big.
Are you taking on new clients right now? Are you working on?
Yeah, we're taking new clients. Any adult that wants to, anyone over 18 that wants treatment, I will expect them to go away for 12 months, come back and demonstrate that they have been able to gain a change, however small, without my help. Then you're talking. If you can do that, great, I'll take you on as a patient. Because then you've demonstrated to me and yourself that you can do this. Otherwise, I mean, I've got enough patients. I'm not here to take people's money and effort. I want people who really can help themselves. There's no point. I'm not here to, make people better. I'm here to help people make themselves better.
Right. That's my motto. Give you the tools, and it's up to you to rewrite a chapter in your life.
I mean, that's got to be the next era of healthcare.
Yeah, sunlight plays a huge role. Also, the sun is evil, minerals, sleep, all your mental health, how you think about yourself when you look in the mirror, and just being patient and having daily habits that help you build a better chapter in your life, one where you have vibrancy, you have energy, and you have the awareness to be like, oh, I sometimes catch myself on the computer, and it's the awareness that pops in. We're human, but it's about having that.
Yeah, no, it is totally about that awareness. Now, if people watching this, I would really like your help going to first of all, ask your dentist. Say, well, what is your dentist doing? Is he referring for conventional orthodontics, or is he giving his patients choice? Are you as a dentist, ask your dentist if he or she is giving choice to their patients. Choice, and choice when they're young enough. You've got to be, I think people should have choice at 7 or 8, if not earlier. Otherwise, you're not giving them choice. You can't say at 12 years old, oh, by the way, there was an option 5 years ago. I didn't mention it, because I don't like them. What I was taught at university was that doesn't work. Yeah. I've no idea if it works or not. I've never checked. My mate, the orthodontist, he says it doesn't work. That's not for a dentist to decide.
Right.
And, watching this, just go out and ask your dentist. Is it, what's the facts? Where's the evidence? That's what we need to know. And then support the website, Prevent Crooked Teeth. Then get good images of yourself, some nice sideways images, bang. Because from Zoom, if you've got a friend with a Zoom SLR camera, proper camera with a zoom, stand as far away as possible, zoom as far as possible, and then you get a great shot in artificial, repeatable lighting.
Right.
And then, because if you don't understand how your facial form is, how the hell do you know what's going on?
Right.
You've got no idea. It's up that creek without a paddle. And, we want to turn this scientific. We want to understand things. Get good images. Full stop. Okay. Any final comments? Any final questions you think I should answer?
No, I think you've told the viewers a lot. If they're 25 and older, take a few pictures, practice.
Take pictures regardless. And if you have a child, you need to take pictures. I mean, madness not to take pictures. Every year, if not every 6 months, in the way I describe. I mean, we've got a video on it. I can send you a link to the video. I need to make a better video, but just take good images. And the video I've got is only taking images with a phone. You really need a decent SLR zoomed in maximally. That's what we've got here. 250 lens zoomed in. People standing at 3-4 meters away. That's how you get good imagery. And that's vital to understanding what's happening. And then remember, this takes ages. People come to me and they say, oh, I've been mewing for 2 months. I go, all right, how many months have you been alive headed in the wrong direction? Okay. And how many months have you been alive going in the right direction? And do you really expect to start getting big changes? And also, when you ain't growing anymore, you still have a stasis, you have a balance. You know, remember the analogy with the stroke? Muscles get switched off, the face drops. So we know you can change the balance. You can change the balance at any time in life, but it takes dedicated work and effort over a prolonged period of time. 25 is the real sort of, it's the average age that most people are going to struggle to get, you know, these dramatic facial changes anymore.
Is it because the bone becomes more fused together and it's less mandible?
I think it's kind of as much that as people become old dogs and learning new tricks becomes difficult.
So the message is you really have to have as much awareness and want to do a radical
body awareness, just being aware of yourself. Yeah.
Right.
You might need some assistance for many people to get going. And I don't know the risks of trying when you don't have enough tongue space. But if you try and get a suction hold, which is the tongue on the roof of the mouth, and the back of your tongue's going in your airway, be careful. Because you know, you're at that point where it's going to be uncomfortable to maintain that position. If you force yourself for an hour a day and then spend the rest of the time just relaxing, that's got potential to be damaging.
Right.
Where if you force yourself all the time, great. I think it'll change very quickly. But, you know, this is a simple message. Stand up straight, shut your mouth. It's not a new idea. Basically, is what parents have been telling their kids for generations.
Sit at the table, elbows down.
Elbows off the table, sit up straight, eat with your mouth.
I cross my legs when I eat, and I remember your video, both feet on the floor, and I'm like, oh, I mean, we're human. We like to be comfortable, and
this is a problem. We're creatures of comfort, and we're creatures of being lazy. You know, energy. You know, not spending too many calories every day. That's vitally important. You know, 100 years ago, people were dying for lack of calories. It was important to save calories. Now we're in a different situation. Like those calories, they seem to be quite common these days.
Well, it's empty calories.
Yeah, it's empty calories. I know, but we're not living in a calorie deficient society.
No, that is.
They are empty calories. Okay. Any final things?
No.
And I think that was good. It was a pleasure talking to you. You know, pleasure reaching out to a completely different audience.
Thank you. And I will be linking your videos below. Thank you so much. And I hope this will help people for years to come. Yeah. Well, get the message out there. And please share. Please share these ideas. Share the videos, but do not email with your questions or call. To me, no. Yeah, sorry. If you have questions, go to the Facebook group called the Craniofacial Action Group. Craniofacial Action Group. Those guys, my father and me, have spent time teaching that group. If you want questions, go there. It's linked in most of our videos. Great. Awesome. Well, you have a great day. Thank you so much for your time. Great evening now. The sun's gone. You've got it. Okay. All right. Thank you.